Hey everyone, so we're going to talk a little bit about DISC profiling because I've had so many people asking me about DISC, and we've got this 60-day challenge going on. So let us see, let me grab this whiteboard here for you, and let's see if we can help you understand what DISC is, because DISC is a personality profiling. So you've got different things. So let me come over here and let me explain that you have a D, you have an I, you have an S, and you have a C. So you can't really see those very well, so let me try this again. You got a D, you got an I, you got an S, you got a C. So you're probably going, okay, what is the difference and which one am I? So a D is someone who's a very dominant person. You're very matter of fact, to the point. You really don't need to be their friend. You just want the information and you want the data. So a D in the DISC profiling means that you are very sure of yourself. Most people that are Ds are CEOs, presidents, take charge kind of people. Now an I is someone who's like a social butterfly. They're influential. They come into the room, everyone knows who they are. These are mostly salespeople. These are Is. So if you're an I, you're probably someone who's liked by a lot of your friends. You probably value the fact that you're liked by a lot of your friends, and you enjoy hanging out and being the life of the party. A C in the DISC is someone who's very compliant. So you're data driven. You like numbers, you like data, and you always want to make sure that all of the logic makes sense. So you don't move forward unless the numbers align. So you don't like one spreadsheet, you may like 3, 4 spreadsheets to confirm what you're thinking, and you may double check, triple check all of your information as analysis. You don't just take what someone says as fact. You want to make sure that it's correct. Now, the S in DISC is the sentimental person. They're emotional, right? So they're driven by emotions. They do things out of the goodness of their heart. So that is what an S is, and they may be like a nurse, child protective services, a teacher. Those are S's. Now, you're normally a variation of the two. So you're not always just a D or just an I. You're normally maybe a DI. So that's someone who's a salesperson. A DI is someone who is good. They're sales. They're chatty, but they can also go in and go for the close. So that is a D and an I. Also, you may be an S and a C. So you're always a variation. The most interesting thing about DISC profile is you have one that you have become and that you've learned to become, and that's over time, environment, education. And then you have one that you have born with. So you have a DISC profile that everyone is born with a certain DISC profile. It's in your DNA. So maybe if somebody has kids and they go, man, these kids are nothing alike. Well, they have different DISC profiles. Even though they're the same kids, from the same parents, they have different personalities. So that is what the DISC is. Now, what's interesting is your environment and everything will change your DISC to become what is around you. However, what you need to realize is that when you become stressed or you're in a stressful situation, you will always revert back to your original DISC. So that's why if you're talking to someone and all of a sudden they just explode and they're like, just get it done, that's their D, maybe in their DISC coming out that they weren't a D before. So it's important to understand what DISC you are, number one, and also if you're in any kind of communication with anyone in business, sales, talking to tenants, talking to owners, trying to get properties, you have to understand that you can only communicate with other DISCs of equal kind. So if someone is a D, you have to learn to talk in D style in order to communicate with them on a subconscious level, and that's how you build rapport. So always know what your DISC is, but also know what your DISC reverts back to, because it's very important that if you are the type of person that explodes when you're stressful or you start crying because you become an S, it's important to know that so that you're aware of it and you can kind of control it. So that's DISC profiling. Hope it helps. Talk to you guys later.